So when we think about our everyday carry, a pocket knife is something that I've been carrying for a long time, and I would hope that most men and women would carry some type of sharp object called a knife. There are so many different uses for it. When you have a pocket knife, one thing that is the most important is that when you use them, and you need to use them, that they're sharp, that they've got a good edge on them so you can do what needs to be done. Well, there obviously are ways of doing that with stones. You have to be my grandfather could do it, but I have never mastered it. I've done more damage with a bare stone than I've done any good. So you would take your knife and you would do your best to figure out where to angle the knife on the stone in order for it to obviously give you your edge back. Those days are gone. They have what's called a Speedy Sharp. Speedy Sharp. There we go. And this is just a piece of carbide that has an edge to it. And what you do, there's ways of holding this against the blade and so forth. And you just take this and you drag it back across the blade in order to bring your edge back. You can use this, now I use this with like hatchets, axes, big cutting items, that sort of thing, because I don't need something that's razor sharp, something that I'm going to shave with. I may just need to shape it up a little bit. So the Speedy Sharp is a good little tool that you can keep nice and small, and so especially when you have something big, you can use something like that. But there's a better way. Well, years ago, I bought my first Lansky Sharpening System. And it has several different stones. You've got your rods and your knife holder and so forth and your oil. And we contacted Lansky. I didn't know if they had anything new or different. And they sent us their Deluxe sharpening kit. So this is what we're going to get into real quick. And it shows you really quickly, it gives you a visual of what you're trying to do with the knife against the stone. Now, the great thing about this is they've pretty well got everything figured out for you. So this is sharpening your knife for dummies. And no offense, I'm the biggest dummy that there is. So it's the same honing oil that, of course, I ran out years ago. I use like a 3-in-1 oil, which should be fine. But you'll take this, and this is indicated on all 4 holes, the angle of the grind. Now, most knife manufacturers, so we got cold steel here, and then this is one of Bram's knives, and they will tell you, hey, my knife is ground on a certain angle. And it may be one of these, or it may be really close to one of these. You just have to find out. And most knife manufacturers, you can send it back and they'll sharpen it. But if this is a knife that I'm using every day, I don't want to send it back and wait a week or longer for the turnaround for them to sharpen the knife. And then I could very easily just bang it against something or cut something incorrectly, and I'm right back to the dull knife that I had before I sent it. So the great thing is you can take care of your own knives. And so what you would do, the directions are very simple, very plain, and there's a lot of guys out there on YouTube that can also have great ideas. So one of them is taking a magic marker, and he marked up the entire cutting edge. Okay, I don't know why, but that's fine. You're typically not going to have a knife that is cut, let's say, at 20 degrees here, and at the end is 35 degrees or whatever. So what I would do is I would just take your magic marker and color just the cutting edge there at one point, and then you can take your stone, you can put it on your rod. And so what I like to do is I find a good flat surface like a table, and then I make sure that my rod and my stone are even. Tighten it down, and you can start with one of the real fine stones. Don't start with one of the heavy ones. That you don't need to do that. But it goes from a heavy or a coarse, and then they work their way to a finer and finer stone. And then that's what you want to do. You want to start with a heavier stone and then work your way down to a fine stone, which is going to do more of like a polishing almost. It's just incredibly fine. I forgot where my thing was. So you'll have your knife blade in here, and then when you do that, when you tighten this down, so this is going to bind everything together. When you do that, you want to try to make this gap as even from top to bottom as possible. It might be a little off one way or another, but that's okay. And then what you'll do is, as your knife is in here, you'll just put it in your corresponding hole, okay? And then what you'll do is you'll just drag it real gently back across the blade, which is going to be in there. You'll drag it across, and once you see that it's touching and starting to remove the ink on the blade, you know you've got the right grind, or very, very close. So that's just a good way to cheat that you can do. But Lansky's great stuff. I've sharpened, I couldn't tell you how many knives, how many times. The stones still look brand new, so it doesn't take a lot. It's not hard to do it. It's very simple. It just takes a couple of minutes and getting the grind correct. So you can see on most knives when it goes from kind of a dull to a real polished, just a real finished shine there at the bottom. You'll know, of course, where the cutting edge starts and then where it ends down here on the blade itself. Again, don't allow it to intimidate you. It's really not a huge deal at all. It's very easy to do, and it's what you need to do. You need to take care of your knives, and so when it's time to use them, you have your tool that's sharp, which dull knife is, you might as well carry a butter knife around. Yeah, don't do that. Carry a good sharp knife. Now, one last thing I would do, and the gentleman that was on YouTube that had the magic marker trick to color on the blade there to see where that grind was, is he had a strap that was like a jean type material on one side and then leather on the other. And then he would finish his knives with the canvas side and then with the leather side. I don't do that. You can. It's whatever. But I have this is just a piece of leather that is glued probably to that piece of wood. Now the only thing I don't like about this is when I'm trying to take that final burr off, that little minute burr that's going to be left. And the angle on this is not as critical, of course. It's just a piece of leather, so I'm not cutting into it. But I'm pulling away from it, right, to remove that last final little burr. Is that there's not another handle, so I can't rotate it and have a place to hold like I do with this side. So if you get something like this, make sure it's got a handle on both sides so you can switch it around and work the leather from both sides. His was just a strap that you could hang it, had like little loops on either end. That works just as fine. You can find something to hang it on. I like this because I can hold it, of course, and then if I need to, I can lay it down and just keep it steady. Remove that little final burr. Again, it does not take much. This is not hard at all. You can do it. Have fun. Be safe. Knives are sharp the way they're supposed to be, and that means they'll cut you. Thank you very much.